Hey guys, hey, this is Kara from iStampin.com. Thanks for joining me on another one of my Facebook Live episodes. I hope this is good. I've got a little different setup, so I hope the lighting is good and everything like that. If the lighting needs to improve, let me know and I can make adjustments for next week. But hey Anna, how are you this morning? Thanks for joining. Okay, so yeah, so if y'all have any suggestions, if the lighting needs to be a little bit better, let me know, and like I said, I'll try to improve that for next week. But so let's go and get started. I am going to show you sketch 14 for paper and ink sketches. These come out twice a month, and you've probably seen these on my blog or YouTube channel, but if you haven't, twice a month we come out with a sketch and we've got tips. And what I always like to say about the sketches is that it's just a sketch. It's a jumping off point. So what I like sketches for is if I'm really struggling with trying to come up with a design, I just come to the sketch and it really helps me. I mean, I can actually follow this to a T, or I can kind of change things up. So this is the card that I came up with, and you can see that I followed the circles, but I changed it up just a little bit. That's usually what I do. I usually change it up just a tad. But we've got tips down here on suggestions on what to do to embellish the card, and it's really fun. It's really simple. So let me move this out of the way and we'll get started. Good morning, Julie. How are you? I have some friends that live in Chicago and I love that town. I've been there a few times. It's so much fun. All right. So the first thing that you are going to want to do is to get out a piece of Pool Party cardstock. And this measures 8.5 by 5.5. And let's go ahead and score this at 4 1/4. I'm going to grab my Simply Scored scoring tool, and we're just going to score that right here. This is, you know, this and the note card size. These are my go-to cards. And we're just going to take a bone folder, and I try to have everything organized and it never fails. There's something missing. All right, so there's our card base. So I'm going to put that off to the side. The next thing that you're going to want to do is to cut another piece of Pool Party, but this is just going to be a 1/4 inch smaller. So this is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to emboss this panel. And I really need to get a few more embossing folders. I feel like I've been using this Falling Softly embossing folder a lot, but I do like it. It has a lot of great texture, and it's just a really nice go-to embossing folder. And if you're watching for the very first time, I will review the questions and comments at the end of this before I sign off. I can't see them. I've got my phone quite a bit above me, so I can't see what I'm doing. I have my iPad off to the side, so hopefully I'm staying in camera. Okay, so I'm going to bring the Big Shot in. So what I did here, I just placed this here in the embossing folder, and you just want to make sure that your paper is lined up straight. And I've got my Big Shot platform, and then I'm just going to place the embossing folder in there, put the top acrylic plate on, and then just crank that through. And this will just give us a nice little bit of texture. So there we go. I did it when I was making this card. I did it without embossing, and I just felt like it needed just a little bit of something. All right, so that are those two pieces. So we've got our card base and the panel, and so we will get to those a little bit later, but now we're going to do our stamping. So I've just got, I like just to use scrap pieces of my cardstock. This is the perfect thing when you're stamping little pieces like this. I just keep all of my scraps in just a little bin, and I'm always going to that instead of just cutting a full sheet of cardstock. Let me grab some more. Okay, I think this should be enough. All right, so the stamp set that I'm using today is one of our celebration stamp sets. This is called Avant Garden. And this is, like I said, one of the celebrations. So you can get this stamp set for free for every $50 that you spend before tax and shipping. So I'll have everything linked. I will upload this video to YouTube, and I'll have an accompanying blog post. So you can find all of the products that I'm using today, and you know, so you don't have to like go searching. You'll be all in one spot. Good morning, Emily. Okay, so we're going to be using about 5 images. So the first one you're going to want to get out is the main petal, and I am going to stamp that using Pool Party ink. And what I like to do is to use my Stampin' Pierce mat to give it a little bit of cushion. When I use photopolymer stamps, I feel like you need a little bit of cushion just to get a better impression. So I'm just going to stamp this right here in the center. Okay, and now I want to do the stem. So I'm going to grab my old olive ink and then the stem stamp, which is right here. And let me grab a scratch piece of paper, because this is going to stamp off and I don't want to get ink on my Stampin' Pierce mat. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp this up in Old Olive, and I'm just going to come right down here just like that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the sentiment on top of the flower using Night of Navy. I love that technique. I think it's so pretty to see something, the sentiment bold and dark colors behind a pretty background. Now we've got a couple of choices. I wanted to make sure that the sentiment would fit right on the flower, so I'm just going to go ahead and do the Thanks for Being You. You could do the Happy Birthday Wishes. You know what? Let's try that. Let's do that. Let's make this a birthday card. Let me see how this goes. It should fit. Okay, so what I like to do is to line up my stamps on my grid mat, and this ensures that the stamp is on straight on my block. Okay, so let's bring this back in. This will be a pretty birthday card. All right, and I'm using Night of Navy. And if y'all have any questions about any of the, technique, items, anything that I'm using, feel free to comment below and I'll answer them at the end. Okay, oh, that looks pretty. Okay, so then I'm going to grab my 1 3/4 inch punch, my circle punch, and I am just going to come in here. And you know what? I need to cut this off real quick. It's a little bit long. So just cut this down. Yeah, that's better. I wanted a little bit more white above the flower. Okay, does that look centered? I think so. All right, so I'm just going to punch that out. And then let's go ahead and do the other 2 flowers. So you will just want to get another piece of Whisper White cardstock. And I'm going to stamp the flower twice in Pool Party, because we're going to make, we need 2 more circles if we're following the sketch. And the sketch will be uploaded on the blog post as well. And actually, I'm gonna have to get another piece. I don't know why I thought that would be big enough, so I'll stamp here as well. Okay. And then I'm going to ink up the little center stamen, and I'm going to use Night of Navy for that. That ties in the ink for the sentiment that we used. We want to tie in that navy color. And I'm just going to go right here and right there. And these stamps make it so easy to put together, especially because they're photopolymer. It's really easy. You can't really screw these up, and if anybody was going to screw them up, it would be me. So if I can do it, I know y'all can. Okay. And then I've just got my leaf here on the other side of this block, and I'm just going to come in right here and just stamp it right there. Now, I won't be stamping these whole images out. It's going to be cut off, which is, you know, that's my intention. And for these circles, I'm going to use my 1.5 inch punch. So on this one, I want to get part of the leaves on both of them. So I'm going to punch it out like that, and then I think that looks good. Okay, so that's all of our stamping, but we need to punch out one more circle, and I'm going to use this really pretty pattern paper, designer series paper, and this is coming from our Little Foxy designer series paper stack. This is in our annual catalog. I love this stack. I haven't used it in a while, so I was really excited to pull this out. But you can see it's well loved. I've used it quite a bit. The colors are really nice. It's Basic Black, Calypso Coral, Pool Party, Smoky Slate, and Whisper White. So if you love those colors, I highly recommend this. And like I said, this is in our annual catalog. And so for this, you are going to want to get out your 2.5 inch circle punch and punch out as just a circle. And you want to make sure your raindrops are going the right direction. Okay, so let's bring in our card base and panel. So the first thing that we can do is go ahead and attach this to our card base, and I'm just going to use snail. I would just, you know, you can use your preferred adhesive if you want to use fast fuse or tear and tape, but the snail should be good for this embossed panel. So I'm just making sure that I've got that equal on all 4 corners. And then the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and take my little raindrop circle, and I'm going to attach it right there. Okay. And then I've got my happy birthday wishes. I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals, and then I'm also going to use our silver metallic thread to do you know, to place it behind there. I like to do that little nesting technique. That's one of my favorite techniques. You know, just when something, you know, just like embossing, when you feel like you just need a little extra something, the metallic thread is just a fun little technique. And we also have copper and gold, and you can find this in our annual catalog as well. And it's a very affordable embellishment. So what I like to do is just put dimensionals behind the stamped image, and then just wrap this around my fingers. And I've got about 30 inches. I just kind of eyeball it, and then I slide it off, and then I kind of separate it, and then I just mush it into the dimensionals. And from here you can manipulate it however you want. What I recommend is just making sure that the tails of the metallic thread are tucked behind. So like this one, I need to place it like that. And so it gives it a really nice little feature. And I'm going to put it down here. I'm offsetting this circle on the larger circle. So it's just going to go like that. And then these last two circles, I'm just going to attach with snail, and I'm going to put them in the top right and the bottom right. So like that. This is it was a really fun card to make, and it comes together really easy. And just kind of make sure that I've got these lined up. I think that looks good. And then to finish it off, I just grabbed my basic rhinestones. I thought that this would kind of like tie in the silver metallic thread. And I just, randomly put the rhinestones on the card. I kind of like do them in odd numbers. I don't have any design background, but that's just what I've been told, that odd numbers are pleasing to the eye. So I just follow that, that recommendation, and I do have to agree that for some reason when you do an even number, it just doesn't look right. So I'm going to put one right there. And that's it. I mean, very easy card. I think it's really pretty card. I like it. And so let me bring in the original again. And I think y'all should give it a try. I think you'll enjoy making this. So let me go and bring the sketch back in so you can see that it's not too far off. So, here they show the embellishments all lined up. I did them like in a clustered little visual triangle. I went ahead and added one down here too, just to tie in the silver metallic thread. My circles are a little bit different sizes, but it still has that same design. So I hope y'all liked the project. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you did, give it a thumbs up. And like I said, all of the information will be linked on the accompanying blog post, so that will be up a little bit later today. Let me see if I have any questions. Oh, well, thank you, Julie. I'm so glad that you liked it. Let's see here. No, do y'all have any questions? If there's anything, that y'all are curious about or anything like that? Okay, well, thanks again for joining me. And I will be back again next Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time for another edition of iStampin Live. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.